Good afternoon and welcome to week 5 edition of the Grid. We're trucking along here, moving into the season. We actually got quite a few districts starting this week. Those 18 districts get underway. And of course, East and West have already started district. I'm Mike Forman and I'm joined as usual by Rey Castillo. And first, before we get into this week's games, Ray, you covered that East-West game last Friday night. Why don't you give us a little recap? Obviously, a big win for the Titans.
Yeah, East came into that game without winless, so they were motivated to try to get something done, and they got that much needed win that they badly needed. Both teams came to play obviously in a crosstown rivalry like that. Both teams are fired up to play each other, but East was able to get it done. Their defense played really well in the first half, and the offense came through. Finally, they scored a season high 21 points and took care of business. They got a big contribution from backup quarterback Latavian Johnson. He came in with Ethan White being out, and he had no idea he was even going to start that game. And he ended up star rushing for 119 yards and a touchdown to really spark the offense. West, they got going late. Tyvon Hardrick scored a late touchdown, but just wasn't enough as East defense was able to hold on. So much needed win for the Titans. And West, unfortunately, goes into the bye week now after that loss, but they both are tied. Oh, sorry, that's right. West plays Miller tomorrow, and then they have a bye week. So excuse me on that.
Yeah.
But a big win for East, getting that first district win, first win overall in the season.
Yeah, now West has really got to turn around and be ready because they're going to see Andrew Bodie and Miller, which has just been racking up the points. Miller actually is coming off its bye.
That's right.
After Miller opened with a win over East.
Yeah.
So, boy, I mean, West secondary is fixing to be tested.
Yeah, Andrew Bodie, like you said, Mike, he's that guy offensively that they look to, and he's averaging over 400 yards passing. So West is going to have to be ready for that. I know they're going to have everyone healthy and ready to go. They want to have a chance in that game. They got a lot of weapons everywhere on the field offensively. Cassius Clay is another one that can do some damage. They got Ralph Rodriguez, a first-team All-State wide receiver. So Miller undefeated and looking to keep it that way, but West hopefully wants to change that.
Yeah, and of course, I was looking at Bodie's stats, and what amazed me is he's thrown for over 1,200 yards, but he has 0 interceptions. That's impressive. I mean, he's making good throws, obviously. He knows what he's doing. I would think the key for West here would be feed the ball to Hardwick because, the best defense against Miller is a good offense. And if you can keep them off the field, obviously Bodie can't do anything when he's on the sideline. So I think Hardrick is going to have a huge game for West to have a shot in this one.
Yeah, definitely. And I was surprised. He didn't get. There was a lot of times where I felt like he could have got more touches against East, and he didn't. So we've seen what he can do when he does. So hopefully West can go that way and feed it to Hardrick.
Meanwhile, East now goes back on the road, goes down to, I believe it's Cavanagh Stadium, where they'll take on the Carroll Tigers. Boy, that's their old defensive coordinator as the head coach. But unfortunately for him, the Tigers have really struggled. They've lost 16 straight games.
Yeah,
they just, Moody shellacked them. So, this is a game that I would think if East takes care of business, it'll win.
Right, and like you said, Mike, they struggled. The last win was October 2017, so it's been a while for Coach Juan Rodriguez and his Tigers. Like you said, he's the former defensive coordinator of East. Back now in Corpus. So, those guys, they're obviously going to want to win every time they go out. They don't want this losing streak to continue. And East, on the other hand, is not taking them lightly. That's the one thing they stressed to me at practice yesterday is that just because they struggle, they don't want to take them lightly at all. They could end up getting upset. So the Titans are hoping that the Titans are going to treat them like any other opponent. And Carroll, they run the ball a lot. They have some good players. You look at Jaden Smith, their running back. They got Jonathan Trevino, their tight end. Those are kind of the two guys the Tigers look to on offense.
It's amazing to me because, of course, I remember all those years when your Carroll graduate.
Yeah.
I mean, Carroll was always like the dominant football team in Corpus Christi for so many years. And, of Of course, that all changed when Veterans
Veterans, yeah.
Memorial opened. But yeah, like we said, if East takes care of business, this is a very winnable game for the Titans. And opening district as well after its bye week, Calhoun, the Sand Crabs back in action, and they're heading down to Portland where they'll play Gregory Portland. And GP has started off 3-0, so this is going to be a big game for the Sand Crabs.
Yeah, the Calhoun, they're going to be ready coming off that bye week. I know they came off that tough loss to Nuevo Leon at a game that, Coach Richard Whitaker, we said this already a few times, but he said that game humbled him. So we'll see how it's going to be against the undefeated Wildcats, who I got to see, earlier this year against Victoria East. And they have a good passing game. They're solid defensively, so this will be a good district opening test for the Sand Crabs.
Right, and of course, I'm sure they want to get off on the right foot here against GP. And another team that maybe we haven't talked about enough, but opens district this week, and that's the El Campo Ricebirds. Boy, El Campo is just that rushing attack. I mean, they have 3 backs that are just excellent backs, and they have put up some yardage and some points, and really they've started out 4-0, and nobody stopped them. But they're going to have a test in their district opener. They face Needville. The Blue Jays are 3-1. Needville's only loss was to Cal Allen by 1 point. And Needville has a running back by the name of Streetick that is leading the district, and their quarterback is actually the district's leading passer. So El Campo is going to get tested this week, and this is a big game because I think the winner of this game, the El Campo Needville game, will emerge as the biggest threat to Seeley, who is obviously the district favorite and ranked in the state. But the winner of that game will be in good shape as far as getting to the playoffs. And moving on, we have some other districts opening this week. Also down the road a little bit, we have Bloomington, which has won 2 straight games. And we'll see if the Bobcats can continue their success. They go up to Schulenburg to open district. The Bobcats, what have we said, it's the first time since 2007 that they've won back-to-back games. So, but now it starts for real. And we're going to see if they can carry the momentum against Schulenburg.
Yeah, if they had any momentum, now's the time to use it. The back-to-back wins for the Bobcats, I know the players are excited. And their fans are definitely as well. It's going to be a big test, though.
Another team that's starting district that has some early success for the first time in a while is Karn City. They've started off 3-1 Badgers there under Jim Wood, and they've got a test coming up against San Antonio Cole. Cole last year was an excellent team. They lost a lot of people, so this will be a good gauge for Karn City as well as we go. And we did want to mention one game that we thought was going to be played that actually will not be played, and that's St. Joseph. They were scheduled to go to Hallettsville to play Sacred Heart. Well, Sacred Heart apparently has had some injuries, and they just don't have the numbers, and so they went ahead and forfeited that game. More so than the win, I think, I'm sure St. Joseph is happy for the win, but they need to play.
Right.
They've only played 2 games. They've played St. Paul and Industrial. And they have a district opener, like right around the corner against Second Baptist from Houston. They have one more game before that district opener. But the Flyers, in fact, Coach Brian Jones, I know, was looking for a game. He never could find one. But, this is, that's just one of those things you have to deal with. Is when you get a forfeit, I guess you just practice Friday and just hope for the best.
Yeah, I don't know if it's too late or if anyone can still play them, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen for them. So, yeah, they're going to have to keep practicing and watch film and get ready for the Eagles in the open district.
Right, and I know the playoffs are ways away, but we're going to have pretty much a playoff game in Refugio at Jack Sportsman Bobcat Stadium. The Mart Panthers are making the long drive of about 275 miles, actually, to come down and play Refugio. This is one of those games where you have 2 powerhouses In fact, if you look at it, you have 11 state championships between these two teams. And this is the case of obviously both these teams being so good that they have a hard time finding non-district games, and so they agreed to play each other. Refugio went up to Mart last year, and that was after Mart beat them in the state final. And Refugio was still running its option offense, and that didn't go too well. And Mart hammered them 41-8 before going on to win the second consecutive state title. They're now in different divisions. Refugio's Class 2A Division 1, Mart's 2A Division 2. But these two teams, I know for Refugio, this is a huge game because they've never beat Mart. And there aren't too many teams out there that Refugio could say they've never beat. And Mart's one of them. It's actually been 3 times. Mart also beat them back in 2000 in the semifinals. And I think some U2 fans may remember the Cosby brothers. Well, they played for Mart at that time. So Mart is a very talented team. The only difference this year is it's a younger team. They lost both their running backs from last year's state championship team. And it has quite a few sophomores playing. But Refugio and Mart, that's always a great matchup. It should be a playoff atmosphere. I know the players are looking forward to it as well. So, and we'll have that for you. And also another game, which traditionally through the years has been a great game, is Quail and Lorton over at Gobbler Stadium. These two teams just seem to match up really well. I've covered a number of those games, and they always seem to come down to the fourth quarter. There's been a lot of spectacular plays, 2-point conversion attempts, those kind of things. Both these teams come in this game with a 1-3 record, so it's important for both teams because this is their last non-district game, and I know they'll want to get a win before they start district. And there'll be a number of other games around the area this week. Next week there won't be as many because next week a lot of teams will be having their bye week. And I guess we should mention East and West are playing volleyball, aren't they, tomorrow? Yeah, I think Justin will be over there at the gym covering that.
We'll have someone out there and a photographer.
And I think I read something about it's a pink out night or something where they're wearing pink, to stamp out cancer.
Right,
so it's a big deal for them, and I'm sure it starts early enough to where everyone, all the West fans, can go over to Memorial Stadium afterwards and see that game. And we'll have all these scores. We'll have you covered. You can keep up with us, online at avosports.com. Follow us on our Twitter feed and all our Twitters throughout the night of the games this week. And I would like to say, if you have any questions or comments or anything, just pass them along to us. We'll be happy to do our best to answer them if we can. And otherwise, we'll see you again next week on the grid.